Throughout history, religious principles have led to the victimization and enslavement of peoples. My African ancestors were enslaved and forced into Christianity, a continuation of historical attempts to convert societies, like the Christian Crusades. This is not God's work, but man's. God delivers from bondage. Christian Crusades, driven by conversion or death and territorial gain, were influenced by Constantine the Great's political strategy to merge Roman/Greek culture with Christianity and paganism, evident in the Edict of Milan. This edict granted religious freedom but also allowed for the continued practice of pagan traditions under a Christian guise. The Edict of Milan, issued by Emperors Constantine and Licinius, aimed to ensure public welfare and security by granting all citizens, including Christians, the freedom to practice their chosen religion without molestation. It also mandated the restoration of Christian properties that had been confiscated. This measure was intended to secure divine favor and public order. The crusade continues today, but the internet empowers current generations to critically examine traditional societal norms and seek truth, becoming champions who should be heard. Christianity's monopoly began to solidify around 312 AD under Emperor Constantine, who, recognizing its popularity, strategically merged it with Roman paganism. This Trojan horse maneuver, the Edict of Milan, aimed to control and undermine the Christian faith from within. Constantine, son of a Roman Caesar, rose to power through military victories, becoming Emperor of Rome from 305 to 336 AD. While Christian persecution existed before him, Constantine observed Christianity's growing immunity to Roman oppression and its significant influence. He strategically decided to align with and ultimately control the Christian organization, leading to the formation of the Holy Trinity concept to clarify theological ambiguities. This was seen as a shrewd political move by the Roman government, embodying the when in Rome principle. The Da Vinci Code highlights several allegations. Constantine was a lifelong pagan baptized on his deathbed against his will. He made Christianity the official Roman religion purely for political gain. Christianity is a hybrid religion, a fusion of Sol Invictus and Christianity. Constantine moved Christian worship from Saturday to Sunday. The Council of Nicaea, under Constantine's influence, narrowly declared Jesus the divine Son of God, and Constantine ordered a Bible reinforcing this decision. While destroying opposing texts, science struggles with biblical contradictions, often dismissing the Bible due to traditional beliefs. This isn't a fault of judgment, but a lack of faith. The continued adherence to traditional practices, like the I annuit coeptis and in God we trust on U.S. currency, is insidious given that money is the root of all evil and God disapproves of idol worship. Isaiah 42:8, 42:17, Micah 5 verse 13, Isaiah 30 verse 22, Jeremiah 50 verse 38. This book aims not to lay new foundations but to show the relevance of existing ones as building blocks for consistent, contradiction-free thinking, based on God's creation blueprint. I was misled like everyone else in a miseducation that can only be described as producing a fake plastic comprehension of everything mankind claims to be. I know personally that they have historically taken books that tell true history about themselves away in their hidden places where they are kept all across the United States. Reading about St. Barnabas Nicolaus Santa Claus, this creation of the Anglo-Saxon Tri-City state, is a road that also came from Rome. But let's take a further glance backwards in time after Constantine poisoned reality with a mixture of Greek mythology and Christianity. When Alexander the Great took the world by force and before his very young death he created many tri-cities that would be instrumental in sowing the seed of deceit throughout the world. Maccabees First Book 1.
After Alexander's death, chaos reigned. From the roots of a divided empire, Antiochus Epiphanes, a man who sought to turn the world Greek, or see it burn.
We will have one people, one law, one God, me. Let the Jews forget their Sabbath and learn the glory of the gymnasium, for I am Antiochus.
Why cling to the past when the future is so comfortable?
Your gods demand so much, ours only demand good sport.
Jewish men in Greek robes are attempting to hide their circumcision. They are laughing with Greek soldiers, while the elderly look on in horror. Let's talk about the betrayal. This is the point when Supreme Thomas's /Uncle Tom ass niggers, which hold a key factor to the Greek rule the same as today as the U.S., uses it Uncle Tom's to be a face of their mockery to God.
Why suffer for an old law? Look at the wealth of the Greeks. Let us make a covenant with the nations around us, so we may finally know peace.
On the 15th day of Chislev, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation on the altar, and built idol altars throughout Judah. Books of the law were destroyed and burned, and possessing them or following the covenant was punishable by death, with these punishments carried out monthly. On the 25th, they sacrificed on the idol altar atop God's altar, and executed women who had their children circumcised, hanging the babies around their necks.
Move it, you Hellenes, into the Holy of Holies!
Look at the pig's blood on their altar!
Burn their laws! Let them watch it burn!
However, many Israelites were resolved not to eat unclean food or break the covenant, choosing death instead, which brought great wrath upon Israel. In those days, Mattathias, a priest of the family of Joarib, moved from Jerusalem to Modan with his 5 sons. Witnessing the sacrilege, he lamented the misery of his people and the profanation of the sanctuary. When the king's officers came to Modan to enforce sacrifice, they urged Mattathias, as a leader, to comply first, offering rewards. Mattathias vehemently refused, declaring his family would live by their father's covenant and not forsake the law. Possessions.
Mattathias' nationality is black, you are a leader.
When the king's officers came to Modan to enforce sacrifice, they urged Mattathias, as a leader, to comply first, offering rewards. Mattathias vehemently refused, declaring his family would live by their father's covenant and not forsake the law. When an Uncle Tom stepped forward to offer an unauthorized sacrifice, Mattathias, filled with righteous fury, killed the man on the altar, killed the king's commissioner, and tore down the altar, showing zeal for the law.
Mattathias of African descent, you are a leader. Be the first to obey the king. You and your sons will be friends of them.
Mattathias then rallied, "Everyone who is committed to the law, follow me," and fled with his sons to the mountains, abandoning their possessions. Many seeking righteousness followed them into the wilderness, children, wives, and livestock included. The army pursued them, finding and camping against them on the Sabbath. They demanded their surrender, but the hidden people refused to break the Sabbath, resulting in the enemy killing about 1,000 of them, including women and children. Mattathias and his friends resolved to fight any attackers on the Sabbath to avoid being wiped out. A group of Hasidians, brave, dedicated Israelites, joined them, providing strong support. They attacked the wicked, and the rest fled. Mattathias and his friends tore down altars, bravely circumcised uncircumcised boys, and hunted down the arrogant, successfully rescuing the law from foreign control back with ancestors: Abraham, Joseph, Phineas, Joshua, Caleb, David, Elijah, Hananiah.
Tear down the idols! Destroy them all!
For Judea!
He encouraged them not to fear the wicked, whose glory is fleeting. He instructed them to be courageous for the law, listen to Simon for counsel, and have Judas Maccabeus, strong and mighty, lead their battles. He ordered them to gather those who followed the law, avenge their people, repay the non-Jews, and follow the law's commands. Mattathias died in the 146th year and was buried in Modan.
Be courageous. Remember Abraham, remember Daniel. Simon shall be your father in counsel.
Mattathias died in the 146th year and was buried in Modan. His son, Judas Maccabeus, took command. He rallied supporters and passionately fought for Israel, bringing great honor. He fought fiercely like a lion, terrifying the wicked and bringing success and salvation, making his memory honored forever. He cleared the ungodly from Judah, turning away God's anger, and became famous, welcoming the vulnerable.
Destroy the idols!
Show them no mercy! For Judea! Charge!
Apollonius and a large army from Samaria and Gentiles marched against Israel. Judas met and killed Apollonius, taking his sword for life and defeating his army. Siron, a Syrian commander, resolved to gain honor by fighting Judas. He gathered a large force of ungodly men for revenge. Judas met him near Beth Horon with a small group. When his men expressed fear due to their small numbers and exhaustion, Judas reminded them that victory comes from heaven and does not depend on the army's size.
How can we, so few, fight so many? We are
Exhausted and hungry!
Victory does not depend on the size of the army, but on strength from heaven!
With the king in Persia and Lysias' army approaching Emmaus, the brothers gathered at Mizpah.
They didn't look for a miracle. They prepared for a sacrifice.
Arm yourselves! Be ready by morning!
You and your sons will be rich beyond measure.
I and my sons will walk in the covenant of our fathers. Everyone who is zealous for the law, follow me!
Look to the Red Sea. God drowned Pharaoh's chariots there.
He specializes in destroying empires near the water, and he will do it again today.
Judas Maccabeus, stepping into the light, pointing toward the horizon. Do not fear their numbers. Remember how our fathers were saved at the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with a mighty host. The sea looked like a trap, and the mountains like a prison. But the water that was a wall for us became a grave for them. Today the Greeks think they have us cornered in these hills, but the God of the Exodus is here in the heights of Judea. Let's cry to Havian. The reason for taking Maccabee out of the Gaval was to hide the gathering of other nations, to ambush the Pharaoh with a red, which means to advocate and to overthrow an existing political party. Sea means the sea of angry souls. When wisdom turns on the light, don't deny what you see. If you do, she is